Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So it has been a while, but I am back with a new video, and today's video is how I paid off my debt in 1 year. And I'm going to be breaking down the steps so that you can follow and do it as well. If you are returning as a subscriber, thank you so much for staying with me. I have got some great content lined up and I'm sure you're gonna love it, so please do stick around and be sure to watch all my latest videos. And if you are new here, then please do hit that subscribe button. As I've just mentioned, I've got new videos coming and I would love for you to watch those and follow along with this journey. Without further ado, let's get into the steps to help you pay off that debt. So the first thing I did was write down all of the debt that I had, and I was really honest with myself. There were certain things I'm thinking right now, my student loan, I knew that it was automatically coming out of my salary, but in terms of the total amount, I hadn't really kept up to date with it. So I listed absolutely everything that I had in terms of credit card debt, my student loan, and also I had purchased a phone outright and was paying that off each month as well. So I then went through and ordered that debt in terms of how much interest was on them. And caveat here, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is just something that I did. I focused on paying off the debt with the highest interest first. So if that's something you want to do as well, then I would say it worked for me, so it could well work for you as well. I then wrote down a list of all of the assets I had. So any pots of savings, whether that be premium bonds, an ISA, anything you've got, and it's really important to then take a full picture of where you are at that moment of time. The third step is to then get something that works for you in terms of a place that you can store all this information. I chose the Numbers app on my iPhone and I plotted everything in there, and you can create graphs if you're more visual and you want to look at the information that way, or you can create tables. So just really mock it up to however you want to visualize your kind of debt and asset portfolio. It just helps you visualize then everything that you've got in terms of your debt and your assets. So once you've done that, you can also then keep track within that app of how you're doing each month. So when you hit the end of the month, how much you've managed to save, you can make things really visual, color code them. Anything like me, that works really well. So that is a recommendation. Find an app that works for you and really list everything out. The next thing I did was to then use any savings that wasn't working for me. And when I say it wasn't working, it wasn't really making much in terms of interest. And for example, my credit card interest was a lot higher. So I moved any savings that I had, even if it was quite small, and I tried to pay off that highest amount of debt first, just to try and take off a chunk. And that was the first thing I did. I then, once I'd done that, I made a personal budget, and it was a month by month breakdown of absolutely everything that I was paying out, even if it was small things like the extra storage on your iPhone if you've got that charge, and it's minimal. I think it's really important just to take stock of how much you actually have to spend. If you're anything like me, you were just kind of going month by month, spending whatever you wanted in terms of going out with friends, not really looking, maybe coming quite tight at the end of the month, but not really having a plan. So again, use that Numbers app and create that personal budget on a month by month basis. I did actually push myself quite hard in terms of my savings goals on there as well. I would always say keep it realistic. So if there's something that you definitely know that you cannot achieve based on how much you earn, and I think everyone is in a completely different boat, so just look at it from your own personal perspective and the budget you think is realistic that you're going to hit. But I would also stretch yourself slightly in terms of maybe this month I have to have a few less drinks with friends, or I'm just going to have to stay in for one weekend out of the 4 or the 5 of the month, and that is the way I'm going to hit my savings goal. So this is something, if you're really serious about paying off this debt in 1 year, you are going to have to make those kind of sacrifices, but it will be worth it at the end when you are sat there debt free and really happy and proud of yourself. So then I was starting to pay off the debt based on my personal budget each month. Actually, what else could I be doing to make money? And I'm not going to talk about side hustles and all of that because that requires a lot of effort. I'm talking minimal effort. So the two things I did was sell clothes on Vinted, and by month it really did vary on how successful that was. I seemed to go through periods, I don't know if it was an algorithm thing with Vinted or something, that I was getting a lot of views, a lot of likes on the things things that I was listing, and then other months it would be completely quiet. So I would say don't think of it as a steady stream, but you will be able to get a few extra pounds. I think one month I made £60 selling clothes on there, and then another month it was about £7. So it really does fluctuate, but you can use that money to then also trying to pay off that debt as quickly as you possibly can, because that is the end goal. The other thing I did was use Facebook Marketplace. So that was to sell any furniture bits or larger items that I couldn't really sell on Vinted. And there was local people came around to collect the things that I was selling. Again, it's not going to change the world. It was small amounts, but that small amount really did help and really did eat away at that debt very quickly. So I would recommend you having a look in your house and you really take stock of things like what don't you wear in your cupboard, because I guarantee there'll definitely be things in there that you could be selling, and really try and think of any other ways that you could possibly make even the smallest amount of money, because it is a good thing to do when you're focusing on trying to pay off this debt in 1 year. The next thing was actually to really take stock of what I was buying. So the personal budget for me was enlightening in a lot of ways. It showed me exactly what I was spending, but it was also showing that I was probably spending in places that I really didn't need to. So I'm thinking clothes. I was buying clothes for occasions, and then even if they were quite cheap or, you know, 30, 40 pounds, I would then wear them a couple of times and they would just be sat there, or it was just things that I didn't really like anymore, or I purchased it and some things even still had tags in them that I hadn't returned. And now I think about that, it was just such a waste of money. But I completely changed the way that I was thinking about what I was purchasing, and the first thing I did was actually make a list of the things that I actually needed in that month. So because I had such a tight personal budget on like the miscellaneous spending money, I then really had to be aware of the things that I needed. For example, your makeup was running out. I knew the next month I was going to have to buy foundation pretty soon, for example. I made a note in my notes app on my phone, again, free app that I utilized, and I made a list. There was some things that I put on that list that, you know, I realized I don't really need it this month, or it can wait until next month because I've got a particularly high amount of things that I'm gonna have to buy that month. So I really took stock of that and used this notes app just to reflect on everything and become so much more aware of what I was spending. The other thing that I would recommend doing, and something that actually worked really well for me, I found myself still going on the shopping apps. So I could have just removed them from my phone, and I actually did remove quite a lot of the shopping apps, but some of them at various times I would be needing them and I wanted them there. So I would find myself on shopping apps every now and again. And anything that I saw that I really liked, I actually created a Pinterest board which was hidden and secret, called my wish list, and it was my way of shopping without shopping. So I then saved the image onto my wish list, and if I really thought I needed it, I would move it onto the notes app. But I then created this board of things that I really liked and thought, wow, that's so nice, and came back to it in a week, and 9 times out of 10 I didn't like that item anymore, or I was a bit like, take it or leave it. But at the time it was almost like I was getting endorphins off of this online shopping. So I just stopped buying so many things that I didn't need, taking a lot more time to reflect, and that massively helped with my overall budget and hitting those goals I had, which for me were stretch goals on a month-by-month basis. So I would recommend doing that as well. And then the last thing I did, which is very obvious, but it's a reminder, I was just very aware of time. Obviously, you're paying off a lot of debt. So for me, it was nearly 15 grand's worth of debt that I'm almost clear of now, which is amazing. But I realized that it wasn't going to be a quick fix. Time was going to have to go, and I was going to have to work at this. It was going to have to be consistent, a consistent focus, and I was really laser focused on achieving it. So it was something that I knew if I just waited throughout the months and I tracked my progress in those free apps, again, within numbers on iPhone, you can color code everything, almost celebrate those small milestones. So for instance, when I paid off my credit card, I marked everything green, and it was just a way of congratulating myself and just to give myself that positive reinforcement of like, yes, you're doing the right thing, all of your plans are working, all of the things that you're maybe cutting out or missing are actually, your life has not really changed, these things didn't really matter in the first place, and now you're actually paying off this debt and making a real effort, and you can see the results. So I would just say, as painful as it is, look in the future and just think, this is going to change my life going forward. All it needs is time. So just know these things take time, but you can do it and you can be debt free. So just keep working at it and you will achieve your goals. So they are my steps, and I would love to hear any comments or things that you're doing. Potentially you're on this journey already and you've come to this video because you want to get more ideas. So please do leave me comments below. I would love to hear from you. And as I mentioned, if you're new here, then please do subscribe. New videos are coming and I would love to have you along for the journey. So I will see you very soon, and thank you for watching.